It's Wednesday, the 8th of November 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed Business News, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Adam Lang, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Adam.
Sean, story number 1. The Reserve Bank lifted the official cash rate by 25 basis points yesterday to 4.35%, with Governor Michelle Bullock warning that taming inflation is tougher than expected.
Yes, she said the decision to increase the cash rate to 4.35% from 4.1% was because progress on lowering inflation had been slower than earlier expected. She said any further hikes would depend on data and the evolving assessment of risk. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said the Reserve Bank's decision was in the interests of the fight against inflation, which he noted was broader than just headline price pressures from higher oil prices. Adding to the case for the latest rise, were new Reserve Bank staff forecasts showing inflation will be higher next year than first thought. The Reserve Bank expects inflation to fall to 3.5% by the end of next year. Now, previously, it was talking about 3.25%. The weight of this information since the last forecast, which is back in August, suggests the risk of inflation remaining higher for longer has increased, Bullock said.
Sean, increased interest rates can affect everyone, but what does it mean for homeowners?
About $120 per month extra on a $750,000 home loan, taking the total increase since rates started rising back in May last year to nearly $2,000 per month. The big question, of course, is whether there will be any more rate rises. Possibly, according to economists. Ms. Bullock recognised the painful squeeze many households were feeling, but said the board ultimately judged an increase in interest rates was warranted to be more assured that inflation would return to target in a reasonable timeframe.
Sean, story number 2. Australia and China could resume an annual dialogue between leaders following Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and President Xi Jinping's meeting on Monday night.
China declared there was a new starting point in the relationship, one that was strained under the Morrison government, and Xi heralded Albanese's efforts to repair the relationship. He said China-Australia relations had embarked on the right path of improvement and development, and a healthy and stable relationship serves the common interests of the two countries. Now, 50 years ago, Labor's Gough Whitlam became the first Prime Minister to visit China. She referred back to that, saying, when drinking water, we shouldn't forget who dug the well. In private talks after their opening remarks, Albanese raised several issues with Xi, ranging from concerns about China's territorial encroachment, its human rights abuses and trade. He also invited Xi to visit Australia. Xi raised with Albanese China's desire to enter the regional free trade pact. In response, Albanese said China had to lift its game in terms of adhering to a global rules-based order on trade before it would be accepted. The Prime Minister also sought assurances that China would lift its remaining trade sanctions on Australian wine and red meat exports.
Sean, story number 3. The Biden administration is sending a high-level delegation to Australia for a series of meetings this week to review the progress of the trilateral AUKUS Defence Technology Partnership, and that's according to US officials.
Interesting one. This one, the US is sending representatives from the State Department, the White House's National Security Council staff, the Energy Department, which oversees the nuclear fuel to power submarines, and a smattering of Pentagon officers. Heading the delegation is Mara Carlin, the acting Deputy Undersecretary of Defence for Policy. Now, of course, AUKUS provides for the sale of US nuclear-powered submarines and sharing of nuclear propulsion technology with Australia, as well as joint development of high-tech weaponry. As part of the multi-day deep dive across the AUKUS agreement, Carlin said the Submarine Executive Group, SEG, would meet to review progress on Pillar 1, the historic sale of nuclear-powered conventionally armed submarines to Australia.
Sean, story number 4. The world's biggest gold company, Newmont, has finalised the purchase of Newcrest Mining and is now looking to shed some of its assets.
That means selling mines, and it's not clear whether any of the Newcrest mines are on the chopping block. 2 Australian mines acquired from Newcrest, Telfer and Havieron, are among several operations that Newmont could sell, according to analysts. Chief Executive Tom Palmer said the company will find $2 billion in cash via mine sales and divestments. Miners typically shed assets following mergers and acquisitions to bring in cash and keep their portfolios manageable. With the takeover of Newcrest, Newmont will operate 20 mines in 11 countries. Big company. The move boosts the company's gold output to an estimated 8.5 million ounces a year, while significantly increasing its exposure to copper.
Sean, story number 5. OpenAI is set to release a version of ChapGPT that accomplishes specific personal and professional tasks around the home or office.
With the new option, users will be able to create their own specialised versions of ChatGPT that can, help teach maths to a child or explain the rules of a board game, according to Bloomberg. Most importantly, no coding is required. OpenAI also plans to introduce a store later this month where users can find tailored GPTs from other users and make money from their own, presumably, something akin to Apple's App Store. ChatGPT was released to the public a year ago this month. Roughly 100 million people now use ChatGPT each week, and more than 90% of Fortune 500 businesses are building tools on OpenAI's platform.
That's it, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Adam.
It's Wednesday, the 8th of November, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, then find our longer podcast called Fear and Greed on your favourite podcast platform. I'm Adam Lang, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed Business News. We hope you have a great day.